Hi everyone, welcome to this live. I'm just pinning the title. There we go. To see if you can join us, so it should be live now. So this is the first episode in a new series which is called the Self-Love series. So I hope you can hear me because I've got my headphones in, haven't used them before. So I hope you can hear me. So it's a new episode, the Self-Love series, which is actually so important because on the run-up to Valentine's Day, which is fast approaching, we wanted to do something different to help you nourish the most important relationship in your life. So, hi, I don't know how to wave back, so I would wave back, but I don't know the technology, so thank you for all joining. The most important relationship in your life, which, as you know, is the one with yourself. So we're going to be talking all about how to cultivate a kinder relationship with yourself, why your relationship with yourself is the most important, and things you can do to actively take care of you so you can be the leading lady or the leading man in your life. So I'm going to be joined by Michelle in a couple of minutes. Michelle is incredible. She is a therapist and a coach and a relationship expert and one of my very best friends. So it'll just be a couple of minutes for the tech to catch up. Michelle will join us and we can have maybe 20 minutes together thinking about how we can cultivate a kinder, more loving relationship with ourselves. So I've accepted the request and Michelle will be with us in a minute. So let me know if you're listening, if you're joining. Let's see. Hey babe, I can see you there. Do you want to hit request? Do you want to hit join again? I think I've accepted you. Please accept again. Oh, it says you're unable to join. Do you want to just request again? These tech issues. Ah, it says I have no request.
It's there. Hello.
Hey, babe.
Sorry, my app decided to shut down twice.
Oh, don't worry. These tech issues.
We're here now.
Yeah, I love your earrings.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I was going to wear
How are
mine.
you
Actually, I
doing?
was going to wear mine actually that you got me.
The similar ones that I got you.
Yeah, babe. Thank you for joining me. So,
Yeah,
just
thanks for having me.
oh, you're welcome. We need your light and wisdom on this topic. So,
Mhm.
as we were saying at the beginning, just a quick, brief kind of introduction, short, accessible, live. Even though I know you and I could talk so passionately about this topic for
Yeah, for
literally
days. We can talk for
days.
days.
I know. So this is all about our relationship with ourselves, why it's the most important, crucial,
Yeah,
fundamental relationship that we'll ever have. And then as we move through, maybe a few things that people listening can start to do to cultivate that.
definitely.
So before we get into that, do you want to just tell everybody how amazing you are and what you do?
Yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
So I am an international psychotherapist and life coach, and I support my clients all over the world to basically cultivate conscious relationships, beginning with obviously the relationship that they have with themselves first, because as we know that, the relationship that we have with ourselves affects every other relationship in our lives. So that's our main focus. And, as we work together, it just unfolds and it has a cascading positive effect on all the relationships around them.
Yeah, babe. Amazing word.
Yeah,
It's incredible. And it's
thank you.
so true, isn't it? So I know you specialize in supporting people with relationships, you don't you? But as you just said there, the most crucial relationship is with ourselves. So
Yes.
I wanted to open up the conversation with this theme around self-care and self-love and invite you to share with us if you can. what self-care, what self-love means to you.
Yeah. So I wrote some notes because, as you said earlier, I think if we start talking about this, we'll be here for 2 hours. And I know that you want it to be like a bite-sized, accessible live. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try my best to like contain my answers.
Thanks.
So, yeah, when I think about it, for me, self-love and self-care, they go hand in hand with each other. And I think they're both just as important as the other. And I think it has a direct impact on our relationship with ourselves. So I would say for me, self-love is a practice above everything else. It's a practice. It's like a tuning in to myself, to my mind, to my body, and just increasing that self-awareness, each day, slowly but surely, getting more, I guess, friendly, or getting more intimate with myself, because our needs are always changing, right? And I think a lot of clients struggle with self-care and self-love because they think it's, bubble baths or manicures or the next purse or the pair of shoes. And while all that stuff is amazing, I think that's brilliant. That stuff can be really helpful for us. It doesn't usually align with what we genuinely need. So I would say it's a practice and a really fine tuning in to what my needs are, moment to moment, because they could change day to day. They could change moment to moment. Yeah.
Oh, I love that, babe. Said so many incredible, just scribbling things down because I always learn from these lives.
I love that.
Learning and seeing that viewpoint. So something about what you said there was this practice. It's a conscious, intentional practice.
Yes.
Yeah, my t-shirts. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for making time and being with us to talk about self-care and self-love. So as I said at the beginning, I'd wave back, but I had no idea how to do that on Instagram.
Yeah, I think they've taken out that option. I can't even see how to do it anymore.
No.
It's been that long since we've done a live.
We've done a live for ages, so just know we're grateful and we're all waving back to you. If anybody knows, let us know after how to wave back. Anyway, circling back to what we were saying, is this practicing, paying attention, tuning in intentionally. And I loved what you said there about moment to moment, how that can literally change, can't it? So day to day, moment to moment, throughout our cycle as women. And that's the conversation I'm going to be having with Evie tomorrow around how our needs change and what self-love looks like during our cycle as women, seasons. But that tuning into yourself. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was what we see on Instagram as self-care. And you were mentioning then about bubble baths and flowers and manicures, new red lipstick, whatever it is.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Matches my top for Valentine's Day.
Love it.
So those are almost things outside of us, aren't they, which play a part, which absolutely play a part, but that isn't what we're talking about here. It isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about this getting to know ourselves, be more intimate with ourselves, asking ourselves in a way, what do I need? And paying attention, is that kind of right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I would say, the world tries to tell us what we need. Here's a new pair of shoes that you need that's going to make you love yourself more or take care of yourself better, or, the next face mask or whatever. And again, I love face masks. I love face masks too. While all that stuff it's brilliant, it's amazing. I think there's a real difference when you're practicing self-love and self-care to intentionally drop into your body and ask yourself what you need. And that could be saying no to plans tonight because I would rather just curl up in bed and read a book or just binge Netflix. Do I need to go out and do this thing, or do I need to take this extra thing on at work? I think it's boundaries. Boundaries are huge. We'll come on to that. You tell me what you were going to say.
No, just finding myself agreeing completely, babe, with what you're saying there. All these things are so relevant, and I love that question. It's almost like a tool, which I wanted us to end on, but I think we'd all identify one anyway. This tool about, what do I need right now at this moment? And you could ask yourself again, and after this live, before the live, during the live, it changes moment to moment. So I love that. So self-care then, in summary, is a practice. that's intentional. It's like an
Tuning
ongoing
in.
relationship. It's tuning in. It's like
Yeah.
a need to need moment. It's honoring your needs and actually
Yeah.
asking yourself, like you would in any other relationship, you'd go back and forth. So it's kind of that internally, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And just to link it to, you know, our external relationships, once we know our needs, then we can potentially communicate them better. And also once we look after ourselves and we begin practicing loving ourselves, we can also then, you know, have the energy and have the space to share that with other people.
Yeah.
Hey, Rosie.
Yes, babe, which links next to my second question that I wanted to invite us to help us understand, how does this idea of self-care and self-love really link back to our relationship with ourselves?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think again, coming back to this this topic of boundaries, again, I could talk about boundaries for like 10 hours.
Yeah. Hey, babe.
But I think, hey, Rosie, thanks for joining. I think at the end of the day, for me, boundaries, the way I explain boundaries to my clients and, you know, think about it in my own mind is that it's an energetic line in the sand. And we have to constantly, again, keep checking in with ourselves. Where is my boundary about this today? You know, how am I feeling about this right now in this moment? And getting curious, I think, about, yeah, where does my boundary lie? You know, that saying, not saying yes when you want to say no. That's the easiest way to think about boundaries. And I think honoring our boundaries and not abandoning ourselves then has a direct impact and reflection, and is a reflection of our relationships with our partners or our friends or our family.
Wow, so crucial, this not abandoning ourselves in favor of other people or pressures or and I think what I wanted to invite us just to consider there is, I think I wanted to ask another question then around, why does our relationship with ourselves, why is that so important in relation to our relationship with others, which is kind of what we're touching on, but I just wanted to like crystallize that so we can get that focus.
So I can, you know, I think this idea of understanding ourselves, you know, how, if I don't understand myself, how do I expect my partner or my friends or my family to understand me? You know, if I don't, go ahead.
I was just saying, yes, so true, because we often expect that you should know what I need as your friend.
Exactly.
Or I expect that you should know. Yeah, I said that right. Or I expect that Lee should know what I need in our relationship. But that's not true. How can other people know if we don't communicate that? And
exactly,
we have to get to know what we need so we can communicate that, so we can be in relationship beautifully with another.
Beautifully, consciously, intentionally. I think as well, you know, if we don't know, and it's not even about knowing so we can communicate, but it's about knowing so we can do.
Yes.
You know, so self-love and self-care, again, coming back to this idea that it's a practice, I think is a really key, because if we don't know what we need and we don't know how to fulfill those needs, then how do we expect anybody else to support us on our journey? You know, and how do we expect ourselves to support ourselves? So I think the concept of like self-trust is coming up for me right now. You know, do I trust myself enough? Do I trust that I know myself enough to honor what I need, to know what I need, and to actually follow through? Because I could say, oh, I really need to stay in tonight and not go out with my friends and drink and whatever, you know, party. Not that I do that anymore, but yeah, you know, I really need to do that. I really need to stay in. I really want to stay in, but still I'm just going to go anyway.
Yeah.
So, you know, knowing my needs and actually following through is kind of where we come back full circle.
Knowing your needs.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. So knowing our needs, which is what we were talking about before, which is this idea of like tuning into what our needs are, and that being a practice so that we're more familiar, I guess. It's like learning a language, I always think. It's tuning into the language of us. And once we know our needs, we can then think about, once we know our needs, we build a trusting, more loving relationship with ourselves, don't we?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I believe and can I trust myself to have my own back?
Yes. Yeah. It starts with us.
Yeah, completely.
Amazing, babe. So tell us a bit about then your relationship with self-love and self-care, and
Mhm.
how that's been for you, if you feel able to share anything that feels relevant around your journey, I guess, and relationship.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Hey, Eloisa, I just saw that you joined. So yeah, I would say boundaries has been an ongoing practice, learning curve for me for many, many years.
Mm.
And it really it directly relates to my self-love and self-care practices because if I don't have boundaries, I end up people pleasing,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
That's just what I do, what I used to do a lot. I've
Yes.
become so much better at it now, not people pleasing.
Yay.
So people pleasing was a huge thing for me. So moving away from this conditioning of people pleasing and fixing. So for me, boundaries has been a really key like ingredient for practicing my self-care and self-love. I think as well, like
Yeah.
being gentle with myself and having compassion for
Mm.
myself when I do overstep those boundaries and I do end up people pleasing and like, falling into old patterns and
Yes.
falling into that conditioning. Rosie says, I
Yes.
think so many of us are people pleasers. It's so
Yeah.
true.
So
It is so
true.
true, especially us in this field of work as well. I think it's I'm
Mm.
so interested about it because I find myself falling into it still all the time. And I have to consciously move away,
Yes.
consciously remind myself, oh, that line in the sand, I pretended like it wasn't there,
Just
and
skip right
now I
through.
need to really face. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And now I really need to face this. So
Yes.
really like being gentle, I think has
Mm.
been really important as well. And giving myself grace, when I overstep my own boundaries and
Yeah.
then have to deal with the consequences.
Yes. Being
Yeah,
gentle, giving yourself grace, being compassionate,
yeah,
learning, um, learning that that's a practice, and I think, and also learning kind of that self-talk around how do we talk to ourselves every day. First of all, let's just want to bring that out in our conversation, but then secondly, linking back to what you were saying there about how do you talk to yourself when you're falling into those old ways of being, how do you consciously, gently become aware of that and pull yourself out, do
exactly.
you then move forward, how do you then work with yourself in a conscious loving way.
Yeah. I love
Mm.
that. Work with yourself and not against yourself, not
Mm.
criticize or
Yes.
not becoming punitive. And yeah,
Yeah.
then I think that's why I said like grace and yeah, gentleness, I think is a
Gentle.
beautiful one. And yeah, grace for ourselves.
Yes.
We're not perfect.
No.
Perfection does not exist
Oh
as
my
much as we
God.
try.
No.
Um,
Mm.
and yeah, just really stepping back and looking at, okay, these things no longer serve me. Why am I doing it still? What was going on for me that I did it that day? Did I just need more validation that day, and therefore I ended up people pleasing?
Yes.
That gives me so much insight about me day to day, and I think that's what I was saying earlier in this conversation about checking in, tuning in, dropping in
Yes.
intentionally.
Yeah. And building that awareness of what's going on underneath then. So
Yeah,
in
totally.
a loving, curious, compassionate way. So we can bring that out, become aware, yeah, of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also, maybe this is me and mine, but I think maybe a lot of people will relate to this, and maybe you too, is what's role modelled to us when we're growing up. We often
Yeah.
see this like people pleaser, putting ourselves on the back seat to take care of everybody else's needs. That is ingrained, isn't it? We have to work really hard to be aware of that and work with it and not fall into the default all the time, which will happen because it still happens because that's how we've
Yes.
been. But I think that's something I see a lot with my clients and me, and a part of my story is just catching that and being aware compassionately.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so important. Yeah. And
Mm.
Rosie saying, and forgiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forgiving ourselves.
Yes. Forgiving
Yeah.
ourselves and knowing we can
Yeah.
just, I think, choose again, start again. Every
Exactly.
moment we can just start again.
Yeah.
Cool, babe. So next question, are you happy? Was there anything else circling around that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was just checking the time because I knew we wanted it to be
I
bite-sized.
We wanted to
So
be,
my eyes go all the way to the bottom of my
yeah,
screen.
we wanted to be finishing now at 20
Yeah,
past, but we had a few tech issues, so
yeah.
we can forgive.
Quick fire.
The next question is, how do you nourish your relationship with yourself currently, and what does that look like for you in your life?
Yeah, so I would say what has really been insightful and helpful for me is slowing down, just really slowing down. Because
Mm,
I used to be, and I still am, I'll hold my hand up to it for sure. I just stay very busy. I keep very busy. I do a lot. I see a lot of people. I enjoy being social,
yeah,
but really consciously slowing down and tuning in instead of like, yeah, tuning in and being instead of like doing
mm,
has really helped me to get to this new place with my self love and my self care practices. And I
yes,
think
me too.
making, sorry, go ahead.
I said me too, and then Stacey said me too.
Yeah,
We're kind of
I
all
said
like,
me
yes,
too.
we do. We
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
slow
yeah,
down.
yeah. Lots of yeses.
Yeah. Mm,
Yeah, and I would say, you know, consciously picking and choosing what I spend my time and energy on has been a game changer for me because again, previously, with the people pleasing, with the fixing, with the wanting to do everything, wanting to do it all the time, which is a kind of a superwoman trope that we
yeah,
have been conditioned to try and be and behave
yeah,
like.
yeah.
Yes, I think picking and choosing really consciously where I spend my time and my energy, doing things that really light me up, things that feed my soul. So, I
Mm,
love my pole fitness. I love going climbing and walking in nature. And I really, really
mm.
love and cherish deep conversation. So thank you for this because I love this. Yeah, and I think that's what I want more of in my life and really, tuning into myself. Do I have energy for that today?
Mm.
Will I have energy for that in 3 weeks' time? Because as you know, as adults now we make plans a month in advance.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's been really interesting. And again, coming back to boundaries, yeah, making sure that I keep checking in with myself and saying, canceling plans. That's
Yes.
been such a scary but really empowering thing. And I know to some people that may feel really silly, but for the people pleaser in me, and also this part of me that loves to be social and wants to see people, sometimes canceling plans is the best thing that I can do for myself and actually following through, knowing that there won't be any pushback from the other person
Yes.
because we understand boundaries and we respect each other and we love each other.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like you've said so many beautiful ways
Thank you.
there that you model self. You model nourishing and nurturing the relationship with yourself. There's so many. So following things that light up your soul, and being outdoors, pole, being with your body,
Yeah.
exercising, nourishing conversations. And you're welcome, by the way. I'm always up for this and love having conversations like this with you, especially. And this lovely, incredible practice of slowing down and inputting boundaries. So when we find ourselves like speeding up and people pleasing or speeding up and going through life really fast, slowing down and making that a conscious practice, putting boundaries in and saying no. Yeah, I love that. And I think as well, circling back to what you were saying before, asking, is this what I want to do today? Is this going to serve me? Is this for me? It's like putting yourself at the forefront of, yeah, your life, everything that you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so important, I think.
So important. So important, Dave. Amazing. And lots of that there was about time because I'd circled here, what does this look like in my life? One of the things I wanted to bring into the conversation was gifting ourselves time. I think that's like the greatest gift that we can ever gift ourselves, time to be, time to do things that make us feel good, investing in ourselves, investing in our growth, time to be still, whatever that looks like, because time can be multifaceted, but it's gifting ourselves that time to do the things that nourish us and look after ourselves, our energy, our minds, our bodies, our souls. I think that is so important.
Completely agree. Yeah, I love that
Yeah.
phrase, gifting ourselves time. Yeah.
Yes. Gifting myself
Yeah.
time. Amazing thing.
Actually, on that point, I was thinking earlier, and I also wanted to say that you know, these practices of self-care and self-love and being able to be consistent, and even having the ability to think about these concepts is a privilege. And I think not everyone has this privilege, you know. So while it is so important, and we should be prioritizing, we intend to prioritize, I think not, you know, if I don't know, I don't want to give examples, there's too many at the moment, but you know, if you just really don't have the time and energy, and you're just surviving day to day, it's a privilege to think about self-care and self-love. So just wanted to drop that in there as well. And it's about honoring the privilege that a lot of us have.
Yes, that is so important. Thank you for bringing it into the conversation. Because as you were saying, then it is a privilege, isn't it? And if we have that privilege, honouring that, and seeing that as seeing that as the privilege that it is, that we can have the space to nurture this relationship.
We can choose to.
We can choose to, yeah. Amazing. Thank you, babe. So before we kind of wind up our live, I would love to invite you to share with us any tips or starting points that you think someone listening to the live could absolutely begin with when they think about nurturing the relationship themselves. What are those things that we can be doing?
Yes, yeah, I get this so much from my clients. You know, it's all well and good that we can say we love ourselves and say that we're taking care of ourselves, and you know, we're doing these practices, but how do we actually start? You know, what does that actually look like in our lives? And the point that I always come back to with them is this idea of your needs. You know, do you even know what your needs are?
Yes.
If you don't know what your needs are, you don't know what self-care and self-love are going to look like to you. You know, I've got like positive affirmations everywhere, but if I just write on post-its positive affirmations and that's all I do and say that that's my self-care and self-love, that's not enough. You know, that's
true.
That's just, yeah, that's very minimal, isn't it? So it's about coming back to this idea that we were talking about. How am I practicing it day to day? How am I checking in moment to moment? And it takes time and it takes energy and it takes effort. But like we just said, we get to choose where we prioritize that time and energy and effort, right?
Yes. Yeah, totally. I think that's so fundamental, isn't it? You know, absolutely checking in moment to moment, like we said in this conversation, and actually asking ourselves what are our needs, but more than that, making time to get to know. So I kind of want to like circle that back even further and think, okay, the starting point here is actually investing time, gifting yourself time to get to know what are my needs, and starting that like back and forth with ourselves.
Yeah. Write a list, you know, get a journal, write a list on your phone. What are my needs? You know, especially when I feel low or anxious or depressed or isolated or hurt or sad, you know, those really big, heavy emotions. What are my needs?
Yeah.
Instead of assuming that my partner should know my needs or my friends should know my needs or hoping someone will reach out, or, you know, really starting to do that for yourself.
Yeah. And I love practical things. So a practical tip there is to get a journal and start journaling, start writing that down, start getting into dialogue with yourself, start actually asking the question of ourselves, what do I need today?
What do I need? Yeah. Completely.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that would be my initial encouragement. That's how we would start. And you know, it's kind of, once you get the ball rolling, there's no stopping, because then you begin to cultivate self-love and self-care in the ways that look good to you, not what society tells you need. You know, it's actually what I need, not what capitalism is telling me that I need.
Yes. Yeah, tuning back in. Amazing. Is there anything else around that you wanted to share or relay?
Well, yeah, I can talk for hours about it, as we said earlier, but I think we should end
Yeah.
only because it's podcast and we wanted
Yeah,
it to be
short
like,
and sweet.
accessible and bite size. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been a really beautiful and nourishing conversation. And since you asked me to do this live, it's all I've been thinking about for the last week, which has really put it at the forefront of my mind. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, babe. I'm so grateful. So grateful for your wisdom. So grateful for you. So grateful for your time and energy. And it's such a needed, important conversation. And I think just recapping, as we run up to Valentine's Day, which may be at the front of people's minds, may not. I know literally we see it everywhere, don't we, on social media,
Yeah.
in the media. It's about, despite relationship status, this is the relationship we need to be focusing on or giving equal attention to. Relationship with
Totally.
ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And share with your partner, once you realize what your needs are, and as they're ever shifting and changing, continuing to share, let them know what you need, let them know what you've done for yourself, let them know what they can do for you.
Yes,
Or your
dialogue.
friends, not just partners, yeah, friends, family.
Yeah, babe. Sharing with the important people in our lives. Amazing. Wonderful. So
Thanks so much for this.
before
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
go, do you want to just share with people where they can find you, how they can connect with you?
Yes, thank you. So just on my Instagram, really, at Michelle Dadachanji. I've also got a website if you'd like to check that out. It's michelledadachanji.com.
Thanks, babe. And I'll tag you
No
in this, of
problem.
course. All right then.
Thank you. Take care, babe.
Mwah.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.